Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to Orange Fridays. Go Giants. Well, there's always next year. It's time for a daily reflection. The readings on Sunday are two banquet stories. In Isaiah, we hear how the Lord of hosts will make for all peoples a feast of rich food, a feast of well-aged wines, of rich food filled with marrow, of well-aged wines strained clear. Frequently, that's part of a text that's read at funeral services, as the larger context shows how God provides the victory banquet when death is swallowed up. The Matthew text is a little bit different. Once again, it's part of the Holy Week story, and in this case, it's Jesus telling a parable about a king who gave a wedding banquet for his son. Can you guess who the king and son are in this story? Remember, though, parables are like onions. Peel away the skin, peel away the layer, and find yet another part of the story. So there's your task and assignment for Sunday. Start peeling away, and don't cry over it. I've been working on those themes of banquets this week, and I have a few stories of my own I'd like to share that will not be part of the sermon materials. As a seminary student, I had a job as a waiter in an old historic inn near Gettysburg. The inn had been a carriage stop for travelers back and forth to Washington, D.C. I don't know where they were coming from or heading back to when they left D.C., but maybe it was like Pittsburgh or to the west. I really enjoyed that place, and I really enjoyed meeting and serving the dining customers. I served a number of folks who came up from Washington, and some of them came on a very regular basis, like the first Friday of every month kind of thing. Then there were the special occasions, like Christmas parties, which we also hosted each year. One of the Christmas parties that I remember, or two of them I remember, was serving the party of Senator Frank Church and his staff. I served them my second year at seminary, and I remember the senator being very demanding. He wanted the soup and salad course to start right on time, and he didn't like a lot of dilly-dallying. I came back from internship, so in my senior year, I took the assignment and was part of the crew serving. When the head server told us before the event started how the meal had started 15 minutes late last year, and the senator, quote, was steaming mad. Well, I guess it's true when you have a 2-hour drive home, you don't want to waste time not having fulfillment. After that particular year, that senior year when I served, the senator came up to me at the end of the meal, and as we were cleaning up and as he was walking out, and he thanked me very much for making sure that everything had run like clockwork. He had falsely assumed that I was in charge. Silly man. When I expressed my appreciation to him for the compliment, I also told him that he should thank the head server, Clara May, because she was in charge. I wasn't sure exactly how that was going to go over, but Senator Church just simply smiled at me and he said, "My mistake, and I will." Another one was the self-important man who came with a small group, I think it was 6 or 8 of them, he took charge from the very beginning. He told me what everyone would have for their soup and salad course. And then he was intelligent enough to let other people select their main course. Then came the time when he tested me about which wine on the list do I think would be best served with main courses. Well, back then, our manager was very particular. He hadn't yet heard August Sebastiani's great statement about wine and good wine. No, David, the manager, said, red wine with meat, white wine with seafood. Well, now, I was going to be serving at that particular meal almost the entire menu. There was some fish, there was some meat. There were the world-famous chicken and biscuits. There were crab cakes and the equally world-famous crab imperial. I dodged it by asking if he had a particular favorite. He responded with a name that I was very unfamiliar with. He insisted that it was on the list. He'd seen it. And I said, "I'm sorry. I've been out of work for over a month now, and I'm just maybe the manager has changed the wine list. Could you point it out to me?" When he showed me the wine name, I realized that it was an old familiar one. He was just completely mispronouncing it. So sad, I thought. So much in charge, and yet not able to speak the language. The saddest part, that became a real joke at the inn afterwards. I was thinking also that the sad part was that as the party was leaving, one of them came up to me, complimented me on how well I had served, and I was doing a really good job back then. How I made sure I put the soup and or salad in front of the right person. I gave them the right main course. There was never a question, never a doubt. And then came the really telling moment. I was thanked for not making a big deal out of a mispronunciation of a wine name. This person said, "He thinks he knows everything, and he knows not much. Thank you for not bursting his bubble." I still chuckle about that from time to time. And as a fun moment, I always mispronounce the wine name when I'm with friends. But my most favorite banquet story, actually two of them, occurred with serving lunch to Mamie Eisenhower. It was her birthday lunch. And I think now I might have served her birthday lunch 2 of the last 3 years that she was alive. The first time, the lunches were always in one of our private dining rooms. It had to be because she also had her Secret Service agents with her and some other family and friends. The first time I was called in by the manager, David, because the one who was going to serve him called in sick that morning. David wanted to know if I was available. When I said, yeah, I had no class at that time, I could come in and do it. Well, I got there, as he asked me to be, 45 minutes before the reservation. And 15 minutes after I got there, one of the Secret Service agents showed up. And I was interrogated. I mean, I was asked almost every question I can think of. They wanted to know my birth date, my social security number, everything. And all the time he's on the phone. My manager vouched for me. And then when I said something about being at the seminary, the whole tone of the conversation changed greatly. The next year, my second year at seminary, when I served them again, he remembered me and he greeted me very kindly, very nicely, but he also noticed the wedding ring on my hand, having been married the summer in between first and second year. And he asked how my wife was. Always the eagle eye, I thought. But what will remain with me until I can remember events no more is what a grand woman Mrs. Eisenhower was. Dressed eloquently. I think she wore her pearls both times. Certainly had jewelry on. Ever so polite. The first time wanting to know my name, my full name, not Bob, but what did my parents call me? Depended on whether or not I was in trouble, I answered. Well, when you're not in trouble, what do they call you? And I gave her my name, and she called me that the rest of that day. And then she asked also, what did I think about Gettysburg? Now, if you don't know, she and President Eisenhower purchased a farm in the Gettysburg area as their first permanent home. So she was rather attached to Gettysburg. And then something else I will cherish is how Mrs. Eisenhower came up to me after each of those 2 lunches, shook my hand, again under the watchful eye of her agent. Now, you need to also know that the agents paid for the lunch. I don't remember if they charged it or paid cash. But Mrs. Eisenhower said how much she enjoyed the service and the food. And she told me that, quote, her boys, that's the Secret Service agents, don't always know how to tip properly. So the first time she handed me $10. The second year, it was the same kind of thing, good to see you, Robert. And remember, my boys don't know about tipping very well. They don't do it very good. And she palmed me the tip. I think she thought she was being clever. All the time, the lead agent just sort of smirked in the background and nodded his head to me. It's in those banquet moments that I think of other times. Other times we gather around a table with food and conversations. I realize how important that table time is. I realized how important it is as a kid when we gathered around the table. As a parent, when Joan, Alex, and I gathered around the table as often as we could. As a grandparent, when we ask all of us to gather around the table for a mealtime. We come together to celebrate some special occasions known to the world and some special occasions known only to us. We eat, we drink, we connect. The banquets in these stories for Sunday show the same things. People gathering to eat, to drink, to celebrate, and to connect. We too will gather around our tables on Sunday in worship as we eat, drink, celebrate, and connect, even as we are deployed to our home tables. And just as the Bible stories in Isaiah and Matthew tell us, someday we will all be together around the table again. I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. And until then, and beyond then, please remember, wash your hands a couple times a day, 20 seconds at a time. Use that hand lotion to keep them nice and soft. Stay home if you're sick, not feeling well, coughing, hacking. Please, be kind to your neighbors and friends. Don't spread whatever illness might be there. Hey, also, go get a flu shot. More about that next week. Practice the important physical distancing of 6 feet apart. Wear your mask. If you're with family and family, household units, don't worry about 6 feet. Get as close as you can because it's important to show love to one another. And of course, remember, be careful out there. See you Sunday.